The Braves have just come off their second 4-game losing streak, one of the roughest stretches of the season, and we have also experienced some pitching injuries. Should we be worried? Should we hit the panic button? Find out today on BravesKast. How are you feeling, Mitch?
I mean, that was a really rough series. I have to put it in perspective. I was doing the math going through the games before we started. And I think I predicted the Braves were going to win 6 or 7 games during this 2-week stretch, and they ended up winning 6. So I was right on. But losing the last 4 games of that feels really, really rough, especially today's loss. We're recording right after the Blue Jays walked off the Braves Sunday afternoon.
I mean, it's funny when you put it into perspective. Let's say we split the series in Miami, still won the series in Baltimore, and then lost 2 to the Red Sox, and then took 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays. I mean, I think we would be sitting here in better spirits, even though the results are the same. But yeah, that was rough. That was a rough series. We haven't. You mentioned it earlier, off camera. We haven't won to the Blue Jays against the Blue Jays since 2020.
The last time the Braves beat the Blue Jays was like a week or so after Soroka went down.
Yeah,
so
that's how long it's been.
They played 6 games in 2021. They lost every single one. And then this year, we've just lost the 3-game series in Toronto. That was rough. It was a really rough series all around. I mean, we had Spencer Strider bump day, and those days should always go well.
And they have
Strider pitched really well. Snett let him go back out in the 7th, even though he was already at 99 pitches to start the inning. He pitched, got 2 outs, finished the game at 13 strikeouts. The Braves let Chris Bassett pitch a complete game shutout, so that was really rough. Oh, I got a sneeze. Hold on. Never a fun thing. And then yesterday we had Bryce Elder go. He pitched fine. We'll talk about Elder, I think, a little bit as we talk about the starting pitching depth. I think his ERA is having me very skeptical about Elder, where his ERA is looking like a top frontline starter. I just have to remind myself that he is a back of the end rotation guy, and he's pitching really well for a back of the rotation kind of guy. Braves lost again, and then today, it was a really rough day. I feel like Frank the Tank going on about the pop-ups and the pop-ups, but 4 of the 6 runs I think came on missed out opportunities. So the Braves really should have won this game, even though it was a bullpen game. 5-2, 6-2.
It's funny, we are
but
officially 0-2. It does seem like the bullpen games are going to continue, really as a necessity as the season churns along. And, you see it, we are 0-2 in bullpen games, but I do not think you could really blame it on the pitching. I mean, they've gone out of hand, obviously, today, but the offense should be putting more runs on the board. I mean, it's just from what we've come to expect.
I feel like I turn on the game, the Braves get runners on like 2nd and 3rd, and then there are no runs scored. So Saturday's game against the Blue Jays, the Braves had the 2-run home run by Ozuna, and then they had so many other scoring opportunities. They had that bases loaded, no out, I think it was in the 5th inning, that they didn't score any runs, and then they ended up losing. What was it, 5-2? But I don't know. I'm not ready to panic, especially considering that we could lose the next 4 or 5 games and still be in first place. But things are definitely on the rougher side.
Yeah. So before we get into what we want to talk about, obviously we'll cover the Max Fried news, the Kyle Wright news. Talk more Austin Riley, some of the struggles he's been having, the resurgence of Marcell Ozuna. Let's just do a quick recap of the last 2 weeks, see how we got here. So Marlins series was phenomenal. I mean, we just play really well in Lone Depot Park. We play really well against the Marlins. We have the classic Bryce Elder, Sandy Alcantara matchup. It was a rematch after they faced in Atlanta a week prior.
Went exactly as we expected.
Yep. The Braves put up looks like 3 runs against Alcantara as Elder shut out the Marlins, just as we chalked it up earlier. Then the Braves pretty much just went to town on the Marlins the next couple of games. Scored 14 runs against them. Poor Braxton Garrett. I think they had him pitching they had him pitch 4 1/3. He pitched him into the 5th inning, and he gave up 11 runs. So it is funny when we talk about rotation and pitching depth, and you have the Marlins here who they put out a guy who clearly did not have it, and they just kept throwing him out there. Despite the fact that
he's not a bad pitcher.
No, not at all.
I don't
not
know.
at all. No,
it makes me feel like Don Mattingly is still there. I was shocked to see Braxton Garrett go back out for the 3rd inning, and then the 4th inning, and then the 5th inning.
But yeah, the rubber match, and apologies, I meant to say if we lost a game to the Marlins, I forgot that the 4-game series was the one in Atlanta. Dylan Dodd pitches a solid game against the Marlins. I know that seems like a given, but I know recently Brandon Pfaadt had a blow-up start against them. So, like when you're facing them, when you're a triple-A pitcher or even a quadruple-A pitcher and you face a major league lineup, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the Marlins or the Blue Jays. To be able to go, 6 3-run innings against any major league team, that's no small feat, especially now this team that's going to be tested in pitching depth. Over the weekend, we faced the Orioles. Fried pitched, I think he pitched really well, and then they just threw him out. I believe it was the 7th inning, and he didn't record an out, if I'm correct here. I didn't watch the game.
I didn't watch. I think I watched maybe 2 innings during the series with Baltimore because I was out of town. But I definitely remember looking at the score and going, "Oh, Fried's pitching pretty well," and then he went back out.
So
he had 2 throwing errors that game.
Yeah. So Fried went 6 innings of 2-run ball. They run him out into the 7th, and he gives up looks like 4 earned runs. So we'll talk about that there. Obviously, he had some issues that have some long-term implications. We win Strider Day. That's obvious. Michael Harris II comes up with a RBI game or walk-off RBI double in the rubber match. Then we do a 2-game series against the Red Sox. Just I don't know why the schedule makers specifically put. I mean, one thing, I don't know why they still do 2-game series. They should just eradicate them outright. But I don't know why they always put the Braves and Red Sox up against each other for 2 games.
It's either they want that interleague rivalry series. The Nationals and the Orioles are an obvious pairing. The Yankees and the Mets are an obvious pairing. And then suddenly the Blue Jays, Phillies, Braves, Red Sox, and then the Marlins and the Rays are the obvious pairing. And then they just don't know whether to pair the Braves with the Blue Jays, which doesn't make any sense, or the Red Sox, which, I mean, no one's. I would wager that there are very few Boston Braves fans still alive today.
I mean, you got to like them paying respect. I just don't know why we are always playing the Red Sox in 2-game series specifically. That was always.
Yeah. This year they have the interleague rival. They play 4 games against, but every other AL team they play 3 games against, and they want to do the home and road thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just grateful that we don't have to get beat by the Blue Jays 4 games this year.
That is fair. That is fair. But we split that series. We put up, what was it? How many runs in the first inning did we score? 4 runs in the first inning. Matt Olson hits a absolute bomb. I mean, we own Nick Pivetta just by virtue of him being a former Philly. And then game 2 of that series, I know I noted it as, this is our World Series lineup. This is pretty much us at full strength. Travis d'Arnaud came back. He was DHing for us. Pretty much, 1 to 9, we had I would say plus hitters. Even maybe if their stats don't necessarily reflect it in the moment, all guys who have a proven track record. Arcia is back too, which we should have mentioned earlier, but did not. But now we mention it here. Put up 2 runs.
Oh yeah, he came back out of
Put
nowhere.
up 2 runs against
just like us
Brian Bello. Brian Bello, who came into the game with a 5.86 ERA, and we can only manage 2 runs, one off a Ronald Acuna Jr. Bomb, which I was at that game in person. Holy crap. I mean, you want to talk about a no-doubter. I mean, the entire stadium just went silent for a second, just admiring Acuna's work. And then we get to the series against the Blue Jays, and of course, because they're the Blue Jays, we couldn't beat them. First time playing in Toronto, I believe, since 2019. So maybe, the team just, the air is different in Canada, and, they're having some major defensive miscues that we'll get into. What was it? You said 4 to 6, or how many drop?
There were, today alone, there were 4 potential easily caught infield pop-ups, or easily caught fly balls that were dropped.
Yeah.
And I think 3 of those led to runs.
Yeah,
so
and I know yesterday or Friday there was that one between Acuna and Michael Harris that was also dropped. It's funny. I know when you watch the game on TV, it is different from being in person, but man, the lighting in Rogers Center just is absolutely terrible with the it kind of was that the first retractable roof stadium in Major League Baseball.
It feels like it would have
T-Mobile or Safeco T-Mobile was 2001.
2000. Griffey played at home games there for half a season.
Yeah.
So I think it was 99. And then
Rogers Center was built.
Minute Maid Park was 2000.
Yeah, and Rogers Center was built in the 80s too.
Was up in the 80s, yeah. It has to be. There's no way that it's not.
So I don't think it's an issue to worry about long term. It's just frustrating that we went through it.
I guess we should go ahead and talk about the defense. It's not a big deal. Might be a little bit. The Braves defense is really bad. Right now, there's only one player with an outs above average above 1. That's Kevin Pillar. We have a few people at 0, and then we have Acuna at -5. We have Albies at -4. We have Riley at -2. And then, let's see, I think we had one more person at -4.
Wait, Acuna?
Outs above average.
Wait, I just want to make sure I heard that right. Acuna's at -5.
Acuna's at -5.
It's May 14th, and he's at -5.
I said this during our preseason prediction podcast. I really don't care about Acuna's fielding.
Mm-hmm.
He throws out runners. That's cool. He had one today after Olsen butchered a pop-up. It's not a big deal to me. It is just, -5's outs above average is really rough. Vaughn Grissom is at -4. So we don't have to worry about him, hopefully, at shortstop for a while. And then our 4 zeros are Harris, Olsen, Arcia, and Hilliard, who has been AWOL for the past week. I think Brian Snitker forgot he is on the bench. So the defense, it's not good. I think when you have a pitcher like Strider, it doesn't matter at all because he's just going to strike out, 47% of the batters he faces. But for guys like Elder and the bullpen guys today, it can be really rough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you're going up and down the lineup, and you have, so Olsen, I know first base, just the way outs above average is calculated, they don't get as many opportunities, just because it's about, the play that they make. I don't think they're going to, outs above average doesn't go into assists from what I remember.
No. Well, outs above average, yeah, it doesn't take into account picks or anything. So, Arcia could hit Olsen dead on in the glove, but if Olsen dropped it, it doesn't really...
Yeah.
Fact
So,
also.
first baseman, it's a metric I think is still useful, but, it's just hard for a first baseman to stand out in outs above average. Ozzy, I know we've talked a little bit about his athleticism. Either he's still building up just after, breaking his foot last year, but we have noticed that he has lost a step. I think you said notably to his right up the middle. With shortstop, I mean, I know obviously Grissom was bad, and I would not be angry in the slightest if we never see him play another inning at shortstop on the major league roster again. I straight up don't think he's a shortstop, which, hey, man, it's the hardest position on the field besides catcher. So, not many people are built for it, and he definitely proved that.
Yeah, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt just because he's still, 21, 22.
Yeah.
It was really rough watching him out at short. I'm hopeful that he'll figure it out in Gwinnett, especially with Shoemake also being AWOL on the Major League roster. He's still up and not playing. But yeah, he didn't look like a shortstop when he was up. I definitely think he's got a Major League future ahead of him. He's got to figure out his contact stuff. But yeah, he's going to be back in the majors at some point, probably this season.
Yeah.
He'll be a major leaguer for at least, a few seasons. I don't think it's going to be at shortstop. And, his success rate was 64% on an estimated success rate of 72%. It's a really rough missing all of those. So yeah, overall, it's not a huge deal because the Braves offense will usually rake. It didn't this
last
series against Toronto.
4 games.
But but this offense is usually good enough that the defense shouldn't matter as much. We've got some strikeout pitchers, but it is something to keep an eye out. Something that is more obvious is the struggles of Austin Riley. I think we touched on this a few weeks ago. It hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. I wrote an article about this, I think a week and a half ago. I found that he was almost too patient, and so he would get behind in counts and then he'd be late on fastballs. But I'm starting to worry a little bit now that we're, into mid-May and his WRC plus is right at 100.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned his patience. I was looking at his swing rates right before we started, and he's actually been swinging a little bit more in the month of May. I think he's trying to get more aggressive, trying to get ahead in the count, or at least not let the pitcher beat him on the first 2 or 3 pitches. So he's swinging at more off speed, which I think he's best when he's geared more towards fastballs and just kind of thinks more about off-speed pitches, when he's down to 2 strikes. He has a 548 OPS since April 18th. Something I've noticed, too, is his power is just completely gone at this point.
He has 7 barrels on him.
Yeah, he's kind of he's having his couple of games where he's getting 2 singles, and Brandon Gowden, Jeff Francoeur in the booth are like, oh, he's back. He's hit 2 singles today. Which that's fine. I mean, if he's maybe trying to build himself back up, or trying to simplify his approach, that's cool. I just hope we're not at a point where it's July 4th and we're singing the same tune. Oh, Austin Riley got 2 singles today. He's back. He's on the upswing. I mean, he's our power guy. I mean, he and Matt Olson are, pretty much, Canseco, McGuire, and Austin's just not really showing, any sort of force.
Austin is currently Ozzy Canseco right now.
Yeah, honestly. And actually, it's funny that Snicker changed the lineup today to put Ozzy third, move him up in the order, because he's realizing that, he's wasting opportunities that Austin Riley just isn't really coming up with runners on base. And especially with Acuna, I didn't see how many double plays Austin's grounded in, but I mean, it's just so many wasted base runners, because it's not like he's
I mean, that's not just Austin though; it's the whole
Yeah,
team.
I think
with wasted base runners.
yeah. I mean, I think he's epitomized it the most out of everybody. But um, we'll just I'm not hitting the alarm bells right now. I still want to see what he does as it gets warmer out, and maybe I mean he still has the he's not a newborn anymore, but I know having a kid at home, is a new dad, that has to affect him somewhat. But I think he's a resilient guy. I still, maybe I'm just being the dumb optimistic fan, but I'm not too worried yet. He has the ability to humble himself and to, pretty much reinvent his plate approach. So I think for me, I'm gonna give it another 2 weeks, and if he hasn't shown any signs of life, then yeah, I'll start ringing the alarm bells.
Yeah, I think especially when it comes to Austin, he's the guy who has made the most like uh, uh,
Hmm.
adjustments in his career. Some guys they just come up, they rake, they continue to rake. Ronald has made a batting stance adjustment. So when he first came up, he had his bat held differently, and now he's got it more straight up. Uh, as far as just like approach, he's not he aside from last year, which you can obviously blame on an injury. Ronald's never really struggled.
Yeah,
Austin came up, hit like 7 homers in his first 20 some games, and then he could not hit a slider. He could not lay off a slider, and it took him a while. He had to readjust, and now he's one of the best slider killers in the
yeah,
game. Now he's gonna have to readjust to how to hit a fastball. I think he wanted to draw more walks coming into this year. I think that was the adjustment he wanted to make. And right now it's just pitchers are blowing by fastballs. So I'm not panicked. I don't think this will be a doomed contract. I mean, he's in year 1 of a 10-year contract. Uh, but it is concerning when your second, third best hitter on the team
I mean,
is a month and a half into the season with
yeah.
a WRC
I mean,
plus
the
under
guy
100,
signed the biggest contract in franchise
the
history.
biggest contract in
Yeah,
team history. And it might ruin a video of a certain. God, I wish I could remember this YouTuber's name, but he's making a third
yeah.
baseman
I
YouTube video I
I
heard,
can't.
and it could be really embarrassing for him.
I'm very good friends with him. I can't reveal his identity, but he is nervous because he's very optimistic on Austin Riley in the video. He's very much his conclusion is that the Braves have a great situation at third base and have a great outlook, but if Austin Riley is OPSing below 700 by the time that video comes out, it's not going to look that great.
It's not
It's
gonna
going
look
to look
great.
kind of
So
embarrassing.
hopefully
Yeah,
that for that YouTuber's sake,
yeah,
really wish we could remember his name, but
yeah. I wish
what
I
can
could
you do?
reveal it, but
Um,
he told me to
but
keep it under wraps.
hopefully for his sake, Austin turns it around. Uh, Speaking of a player who has turned it around, and I don't know how to feel about it, Marcell Ozuna has been on fire in May, and
It doesn't
I have no
make
idea. He
any
had a double
sense.
today, but I pulled the stats before today's game. In May, he's hitting 333. His on base percentage is 444. His slugging is 833. This is a 229 WRC plus, and his BABIP in that time span has been 238. So he's just hitting the ball over the fence. I don't. I was ready to cut him
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
about a,
And I mean,
even about a week ago.
I wish you had his expected stats there too, because I mean, it's not like he's. I mean, I know, like you said, it's not like he's getting lucky or anything. And I mean, he's still, even all of his outs today were loud outs. I mean,
Yeah, he had a barreled out to center. He had a double, and then he had a
so
line drive to left field or something.
I'm gonna make a bold claim here and say it's like it's gonna feel so wrong saying this, because when you're presented with a choice and one is the right choice, but the other one is just like so like fruitful, like it's just so like appetizing. so I'm gonna say this, and then I'm looking at his numbers. I'm like, oh man, it's just a really good production. I I still, even then, I still don't think he deserves a roster spot. And my whole thing is, all he is right now is his hit tool. He's not going to provide you any defensive value. I mean, I would say he's unplayable in left field at this point, which is kind of funny to think that he was once like a center fielder for the Marlins.
Gold Glove center fielder,
Just
Marcell
insane. I mean, like I said, it's funny. Both him and Hanley Ramirez, just the parallels are so obvious. How they basically just became like totally different players later in their career, and the Red Sox cut bait with Hanley, on their way to a World Series, and I really was hoping that the Braves would cut bait with Ozuna on their World Series run this year. But he just is a hit tool now. I mean, he's not going to provide any value on the base pass, not going to provide any value in the field, and I think our team is just loaded with like versatile talent that I would much rather see, especially just given, I mean, I do think we have plenty of depth, but I would rather see Sam Hilliard, in left field, and then, Rosario DHing, or Pilar in left field and Hilliard DHing even. And I'm not really thinking like platoons in mind, but I just, even if this is like him from now on, I mean, he's not going to be slugging 833 forever. I mean, it's not going to happen. He's not that kind of player anymore. I do think, I don't want to say it's a mirage, because I do think he can sustain something close to productive with the bat, but I still just would rather see guys who can play the field and run the bases better than Ozuna. I mean, I know Rosario is also kind of an awful base runner himself, but he also was.
Yeah, that caught stealing.
That was so bad.
Yesterday.
That was so bad.
Or was that Friday? I think that lost the game.
Yeah. We could have had the bases loaded with one out, but I mean, we had the bases loaded with none out, and blew that opportunity too. I think that was yesterday's game. So
yeah. I don't, with Ozuna, I'm conflicted, because I don't feel like he's earned the redemption from a fan standpoint, and I don't know, maybe I don't see the inner working. Like, I'm not in it, Georgia. I don't see Ozuna on a regular basis. I'm not his neighbor. I have no idea, how he conducts himself now. His interactions with the media haven't been great since then. I don't feel like he's been overly apologetic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, teammates seem to like him. He was well liked in 2020. He seems well liked now. It seems like he's taken to a platoon role better than most people making $14 million a year.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to get over the two arrests without him,
Yeah. I just, and
showing himself
and
to
we
be
can
in the wrong.
We can transition this to the lack of Sam Hilliard, who, I kept saying, I told you that kind of joke where almost every game he played, I was like, oh, this is the game where he earned himself more playing time. Oh, this is the game where he, earned himself a permanent fixture on the 26 man. And he's still on the roster. I think a lot of people listening to this podcast would be surprised to hear that, because
he has not played since May 7th.
Yeah. And
like, he has not appeared in a game. Pinch runner, defensive replacement, pinch hitter, just hasn't appeared in a game.
Look, even if Sam Hilliard is, he was playing out of his mind, which he was, he shows that he's like a 5-tool light player. I mean, he shows like he can provide value defensively on the base paths. Versatile. He could play center field for you, and I feel like he's just been rotting away on the bench. We have this really, I feel like good thing going.
Snicker does this.
Yeah.
This is I'm one of the I feel like I'm one of the few fans who is very analytically inclined when it comes to baseball, but also like Snit a lot. But one of my gripes with Snit is that he doesn't know how to give players rest, and it makes the bench players just sit there. I think having the left field platoon this year and having a DH has made it easier for Snicker to kind of rotate players. But I mean, even last year, Orlando Arcia never played. He never played. He never played. Ozzy Albies gets hurt. He plays every single game for a month. He plays really well. He gets injured. Vaughn Grissom comes up. Vaughn Grissom plays pretty well. He's off to a hot start. Arcia comes back. He's off the IL for a week before he appears in a game. And his first appearance back after injuring himself is as a pitcher. And then finally, about, a week and a half before the season's over, Grissom cools down, and he had been cooling down, and his defense wasn't great. And Snicker finally goes, maybe I should give Arcia a chance.
I mean, the same
and
thing, with Matt Olson last year, where, I mean, he was just, like, having the worst stretch of his career, and finally it got to, like, DEFCON 1 when he finally, like, gave him a day off. I think it was September. And I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, maybe he should have done that before, like maybe he waited a little bit too long.
Earlier. Like, I think right now, Austin Riley could just use a day off. Like, I know we're early into the season, but he's not hitting well. It's probably getting on him.
Yeah.
He knows how much better he has. He's got the pressure of the contract. Braden Shoemaker has been up since the Orioles series. No, since before. Yeah, or was he called up during the Orioles series?
Was he?
I think he was called up game 1 of the Orioles series, Friday.
Yeah. He was called up.
Braden Shoemaker has been up for 9 days now. He played in the first game that he was up for. Vaughn Grissom started the next game. Arcia came off the IL, and Braden Shoemaker has just sat on the bench.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because, like, I think some fans of other teams would actually be envious of the consistency that we have in the lineup. I know talking Yanks, they would always complain about, Boone never really having like a set lineup and, players not coming in knowing, where they're hitting. And I think kind of what we're getting at here is that it's almost like as stubborn, but just on the total opposite side of the spectrum, where it's like there is a balance that can be struck between, giving consistent playing time to, all your players, but also recognizing when maybe they need a day off or maybe they need to just, DH one day. I mean, have Austin Riley DH, put Shoemaker at third and see what happens. I mean, it's just one of those things where we haven't really had to do anything drastic because this is our first stretch of bad baseball, I would say, maybe besides the Astros series.
That Astros series.
Because this is our second 4-game losing streak. Because I know we lost the game to the Padres into the Astros series. So, another thing I want to talk about too, and this is something that a lot of baseball fans, it's the ultimate, I think, misguided way to roast a team who's successful is to point to their record against good teams. And, they're like, oh, you're only, 500 against, teams, with this winning percentage.
Or something like that. And you're like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You want to beat the teams you're supposed to. I know it's a small sample, but we are 3-8 against teams with above a 500 winning percentage. Again,
are we really?
Yeah, too early in the season to tell. That's just 11 games. I'm sorry, it's just 11 games. But it is something to keep an eye on, especially in this stretch, because we'll do the look ahead at the end of this episode. But we're going to be tested a lot in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Against teams, that are all have playoff aspirations in my mind.
Yeah, I guess we should then go ahead and talk about. I would say this is the main story of the past 2 weeks. Kyle Wright goes down against
the Marlins.
Was it the Marlins? Yeah. So he goes out, he pitches his second inning, he looks kind of off. He starts the third inning. Rick Kranitz yells at him, and he comes out of the game. And after the game, the Braves say it's a shoulder issue, which kept him out of spring training and then opening day. He's going to be out at least until the All-Star break. That's been publicized. He's going to be shut down. He's not going to throw a ball probably for the next month and a half, and then they're going to reevaluate. So the Braves are down one starter, and then on Friday night, Max Fried pitches. I thought he pitched okay, like from what
I said,
saw, except for the last
pitched
inning.
one inning too long. He should not have come out.
Nothing is made of it. But then on Sunday, early afternoon, because the Braves played ridiculously early.
Thanks, Peacock.
The media notices that there's no starter announced for
Wednesday.
That Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, his slated. Yeah.
And so, yeah, the Braves ask Snicker. The media asks Snicker what's going on. They say, "Oh, we're working through things." And then Tuesday it comes down that he has a forearm strain. Doesn't seem that serious, but he is also going to be missing about 2 months at least. So the Braves had a lot of starting depth coming into the season. I think it's something we talked about, something we're very pleased with. Right now, the Braves are down Max Fried, Kyle Wright, Ian Anderson, and even if you care about Colby Allard, you probably forgot he's in the system. They're all going to be out. Ian Anderson's out all year. Wright and Fried are out until July. And Allard, I've not heard anything about.
So
he's not a great pitcher to begin with.
So my thoughts on Wright is that he pitched, and I think we noted this in the preview. I mean, he pitched the most innings in his professional career last year by far. I mean, full major league season, first time he's ever done that. And then he had that. I mean, it was just one start, but still the start in the postseason. I think he's fine. I just think maybe the Braves got a little too excited with how, the fact that he turned a corner last year, and weren't really thinking about, the fact that he was like taxing his arm, more than he ever has in his professional career. Max Fried is interesting because, I mean, it's a grade 1 forearm strain, which, a lot of people were calling, it's a precursor to Tommy John. But, grade 1, it goes up, the higher the number, the more severe. Really, to me, it seems more out of caution, the fact that, he wasn't taken out of the game on Friday due to any injury. It happened afterwards. But it's interesting because this seems like a move a team would do when they have a player signed to a long-term contract where they totally shut him down. But in Fried's case, he's going to be a free agent after 2024. So but at the same time, I do wonder if they felt like they've built enough of a lead in the NL East where we should be fine. I mean, we should be okay theoretically without him.
Theoretically, for sure. I think something that helps with all the injuries is Charlie Morton's been a lot better than I expected. He looks like he's his 2021 self again for the most part. I thought he would be slightly better than his 2022 version. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I don't really believe in Bryce Elder being a lockdown guy, but if you have a fifth starter whose ERA is around 4, which Elder's will probably eventually be, I cannot imagine that he carries this ERA.
Into this like really niche role of being a really effective innings eater against like bottom 10 offenses.
I feel like it's inning eaters against bottom 10 offenses or 5 inning starts against good offenses. Yeah. So Snicker doesn't even let him allow that 6th inning.
Yeah.
I don't love Elder as the third best pitcher on this rotation. I like Elder as a back end rotation. And then of course you have Spencer Strider, which must watch TV. He's striking out batters like you've never even imagined. He got hit with the loss on Friday.
He should not have. That was...
He got a bad
blown
call against him. Should have been end of the inning, strike 3. That led to one of the runs. The Braves didn't score anything. That gets them a loss.
First time the Braves have lost on Strider
But
Day.
now that the depth is obliterated, I mean, who takes these 2 rotation spots?
I mean, it does look like we're going to continue doing bullpen days, at least in the interim. It's something I'm worried about here. It is, I don't know if you've noticed, so the idea of, for baseball fans who are watching who might just be more casual fans, the idea of the opener was created by the Rays. I think it was 2018. To have a guy who's normally a reliever start the game, go 1 to 2 innings, and then have somebody come piggyback off of him, taking the bulk off, to pretty much kind of just piece together 5 innings. And then, hopefully it goes to plan, and then they can kind of, use the rest of their bullpen pieces the way they would in like a normal start. It became very popular. I mean, it got to a point. I mean, the Braves did a bullpen day during the World Series. You don't really see teams doing it anymore. And I think it's because they realize like how much they're taxing their bullpens by doing it. I think it was 2021 or 2022 where there was a noted like ERA bloat for bullpens, and a lot of people were theorizing that bullpen days might have been partially the cause of bullpen ERAs going up. So it's something that I think in the short term is fine. Honestly, I know we're 0-2 on bullpen days now, but I don't really think that was too much of the fault of the bullpens. Like they did their job.
Yeah, even today, I mean, Colin McHugh just got the worst luck. Some of the hits were little like 170 xBA hits. So you had the errors.
Dylan Lee looked really good the game against the Red Sox.
I have been pushing no, I don't think I've pushed it as much on this podcast, but I've been pushing the Cole for a while that Dylan Lee is an elite reliever. And I know you were skeptical coming into the season, but I don't know where you are now.
His slider, he might have the best slider. I mean, he kind of fell into this accolade, but he might have the best slider from a lefty on the team, especially now that Minter doesn't really have it. And I mean, we're not even going to be able to cover Minter right now.
We're not going to mention Minter. He'll be fine. He'll be fine, or else he'll end up on the IL for some random injury.
But yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate. And something I have on the notes here, but I did want to mention is that every team is experiencing major issues with their pitching. I mean, this is something that's going on across the league. I know there's that picture that went semi-viral of the Mets broadcast where they showed the probable pitchers for their weekend series against the Nationals, and it was TBD across the board. Oh
god, that Mets start. I tweeted this out a couple of days ago, but at the time what was it? The 5th best, 6th best WAR on the Mets pitching rotation was Luis Guillorme. If you do not know who Luis Guillorme is,
he's not a pitcher.
Yeah. So Luis Guillorme has the 6th highest WAR on the Mets pitching staff. This was 5 days ago. He was 6th out of 23 pitchers. Guillorme is a utility infielder. That's how rough he was ahead of guys like Scherzer, McGill, Verlander, and Carrasco.
Things aren't exactly rosy, not only in the division but across the league. It's just pitchers have been getting hurt a lot this year.
This upcoming series in Texas, guess who we're missing?
DeGrom, yeah.
Jacob DeGrom, because he's injured.
I haven't seen the probable pitchers. Do we get a Heaney
I'm
dog?
really hoping we do not. I have not seen it. I'm kind of hoping for Dane Dunning.
Oh yeah, I know we faced Dane Dunning in 2021. or was it
No, we faced
2022?
him last
Yeah,
year.
it was last year. Yeah. I forgot if we. I honestly completely forgot that Rangers series. Um, so yeah, I mean, so just to kind of go back on Max and Kyle Wright, just to get into possible replacements. I mean, interim bullpen. Um, Jared Schuster, Dylan Dodd, congratulations. Y'all are gonna get an extended look in the major leagues.
There are two starters in Gwinnett right now that have ERAs under 5. Do you know who they are?
I know one of them because I'm looking at the notes. Do you want me to say his name?
Yeah.
Is it?
So one of them is Jared Schuster, and the other is a guy who I think I've heard of before. I had no idea he was on the team. If you asked me whether he was a farmhand or
It's
like a guy who had played Major League Baseball before, I would have had no clue.
It's the wacko version of the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback.
It is. Bo Burrows has MLB experience, and he's one of 2 starters in Gwinnett with an ERA under 5.
He's the most plainly dressed man.
I don't know. I could see the Braves adding him on the. I have no idea when he starts next.
This is just like it.
But considering the state of the rotation, Dylan Dodd went today. He did not pitch well in Gwinnett. I think he allowed like 5 runs.
And then
he can't be called up anyway.
The mystery of Michael Soroka. He had another rough outing in Gwinnett. He's still just kind of building himself back up. I mean, it's not really easy. Like, just think about it like this. Just think of like a skill that you have, whether it's, welding or crocheting or, whatever you do in your spare time. Imagine like not doing that for 2 years and then just being thrown to the fire and be like, okay, yeah, crochet me a beanie or, weld this pipe onto this pipe, or I don't know, welding that like that. It's not easy. So I'm still holding out hope that Michael Soroka is pushing through, and he's definitely going through. I would say probably the most perseverance. Really, I mean, it's just this entire 2 years, but he's just I'm very glad that the Braves haven't called him up yet, because I could see that being very damaging to his progress and his journey to come back. I do think eventually he will pitch for the Atlanta Braves again, but you just gotta let him build himself back up and get some innings under his belt.
He has only hit 90 pitches once in the minors this year. As much as I would love for Michael Soroka to be the starting pitcher, either in Texas on Tuesday or, Friday or Saturday against the Mariners, it's just not going to happen. It might be July before we see Soroka.
Which I'm fine with. I'm
majors.
Fine with at this point.
I'm fine with it in the sense that, like, I want Soroka to be happy. I just want to see Soroka on the major league mound again. But that's just me as a fan. Aside from Dodd, Schuster, and I guess Bo Burrows, there is really no other internal options.
We did,
and
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but we did sign Justice Sheffield, which I did not know he wasn't on the Mariners anymore. He was one of the big pieces. He was the guy who was traded along with Jared Kelenic in the Robinson Cano trade. Another lefty in the minors. I guess we're just collecting left-handed starting pitchers at this point.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him as an option as a starter.
I just thought it was interesting that we did pick him up.
Yeah. I thought I messaged Coldless. I didn't realize that he had signed back with the Padres. I saw he'd opted out, but Julio Teheran looks really good right now.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, could really use Tucker Davidson, couldn't we?
What's
Mike Minor up
so
to?
Justice Sheffield was actually a part of the James Paxton to the Mariners
gotcha,
trade.
gotcha. Okay, That makes sense. Yeah.
And he was also in the Clint Frazier trade to the Yankees for Andrew Miller. There is a guy who is from North Carolina who is currently a free agent who's probably doing some rodeos. I don't want him on the team.
Me neither.
But he's out there.
Clubhouse cancer, just net negative.
I feel like Anthopoulos is gonna pull one out of nowhere. He's gonna sign some guy that we went, oh, I forgot this guy existed.
It's kind of funny. It just reminds me of like playing like franchise mode on like MLB The Show and looking at like the free agents like during the season and seeing like all like you said, this like treasure trove of names that you like haven't heard of in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Like I said, Mike Minor. I don't know. I know we're all of Major League Baseball like is prepping, like all MLB fans are prepping themselves for the White Sox teardown. I don't want to.
I'm pulling against them every single game. I don't even care about the American League Central. Who does? But I love seeing the White Sox lose, if I'm going to be honest.
I don't. I feel so bad for that fan base.
If I'm going to be honest, I think once that ownership hired Tony La Russa, it was one on one of my teams that I hate lists.
I don't think, I mean, just kind of looking at that, Lance Lynn could be an interesting option. I think he's on the last year of his contract with them. Dylan Cease, his like trade stock, I think he's awesome. I mean, I haven't watched any White Sox games. I don't know what's going on with him, but I remember seeing his start against the Astros, the first start of the season. I mean, he looked as locked in as anybody could be. I don't know what happened.
Could you imagine him and Strider on the same team?
Just that,
those
so
mustaches,
so marketable. Just in
strikeout mustache man.
Yeah, I mean, you would add it to the list of bromances on the Braves. You know, we would be ranking.
We definitely can afford Cease if we're gonna be real though. I think he still has like 2 years left.
It's funny because his trade stock is probably as low as it could be. So I think the White Sox are gonna just hold on and just wait for him because he's gonna bounce back.
I love just the walk in as many, strike out as many people as you can in 5 innings approach that he has.
Lito is a free agent at the end of the year, but I just don't think we could afford him either.
Yeah, I feel like Anthopoulos tomorrow at like 3 p.m. he's gonna drop on Braves Twitter, like Braves acquire this 7th starter from this organization. He pitched in the majors for 10 years and now he's not very good. And the Braves send like some high A 23 or 24-year-old reliever. And then that guy's going to have like a 4.5 ERA and he's going to be the next Anibal Sanchez.
I mean, we could also just get Anibal Sanchez too. I don't think he officially retired. Was he pitching?
No, I think he wants to pitch again. I think teams are skeptical that he can continue his voodoo magic, but I mean, imagine him and Jesse Chavez.
I was literally about to say, yeah, it would feed off of each other.
I love Jesse Chavez after the inning is over and before the inning is over, but for 5 minutes, I'm like, is this going to be the game that he blows up?
It's kind of fun with
hasn't happened yet.
This is going to sound really awful with Jesse Chavez, but like, there's sometimes I'm just like, are the hitters being nice to him? I love Jesse. I am like the biggest Jesse Chavez supporter. I'm
a huge Jesse Chavez fan.
But there's sometimes I'm like, he's blown like 93 like right down the middle. Like, yeah, it's got good movement. I mean, he's got like a solid 88 mile per hour cutter, but I'm just like, are they
I don't know if I've ever seen him throw an inside pitch to a righty before.
Yeah. Like, are they just like going easy on him? Like, do they like, does Jesse Chavez have like dirt on them, and that's why they're like swinging and missing on like a 92 mile per hour fastball down the middle?
He's striking out 10.8 guys.
I don't get it. Sometimes the sport doesn't make any sense, and that's what we love about it.
There's something about the Braves that he knows how to strike out people on the Braves, and he doesn't else. In 2020 with the Rangers, his strikeout per 9 was 6.8. The next year it was 9.62 with the Braves. Let's see what it was with the Angels and the Cubs. With the Cubs, it was 9. No, wait. No, yeah. His 5 innings with the Cubs, his strikeouts per 9 was 4.76. With the Braves, it was 10.36. and with the Angels it was 8.44. The Braves just have something about like pitch selection that Chavez can just strike out guys like nobody's business, and it's only on the Braves. But I don't know.
One of the biggest mysteries in the sport.
Love the guy, but yeah. So the rotation, it's weird. I feel comfortable. I feel way more comfortable considering that we're down to 3 pitchers, and I'm not a huge fan of Schuster, and I'm not a huge fan of Dodd yet. But I think obviously we lost on Elder's and Strider's starts and Morton's, I guess. No, he pitched before.
Yeah.
So we really can't afford to lose on Elder and Strider days. But you're going to win with Strider like 70-80% of the time.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Our pitching, I mean, we haven't allowed. I mean, that was a weird thing about this week. Is like we didn't allow any more than, I think the most runs we allowed in a game was what,
6
against the Red Sox. And I mean, one of them was just like a go-ahead home run, off the bat of Tristan Casas. So it's not like our pitching like really shit the bed this week or anything. It's just our offense.
Yeah, the offense will figure it out. There's too many good guys. If you look on Baseball Savant right now and see who the leaders are for ex-Wilba, you're going to recognize the top 2 faces.
And I
obviously with Darno being back, having Murphy on the bench is going to happen more often.
And I am glad that Murphy got a complete off day today. Because I know, especially when we had a day game yesterday, you could have put him at DH, but he's been struggling at the plate a little bit the last week, so let him reset. And I mean, we're gonna have some. It's funny that last episode we were, I was kind of just jokingly saying like, all right, this is the first time we're really going to be tested, but it's going to be interesting seeing how we play the next 2 weeks. I mean, I don't think
you want to go ahead and start the look ahead.
Yeah.
So this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we play the Rangers in Texas. We have an off day on Thursday. We play 3 at home against the Mariners. We play 3 at home against the Dodgers. We'll see an old friend. And then we'll actually see 2 old friends. I'm actually looking forward to seeing Hayward again, especially now that he has a swing change. And then we play 4 against Philly. I think the Rangers are one of the quiet good teams this year. Like I knew in the back of my head the Rangers were really good.
It's so funny too. I mean, this is a Braves podcast. I don't want to get into like other teams too much, but like it's so funny because like DeGrom and Seager have been out, and like you're having guys like Adolis Garcia and like Jonah Heim like completely turn a corner.
Have you looked at their offensive page?
No, I've not.
Their offense is like the Rays light. They have like one guy, Robbie Grossman, who's under 100
old friend
for WRC plus, and then basically everybody else they're playing on a regular basis.
I will
has like 110, 120 WRC pluses.
I know they've played at least one series, but they might have played 2 series against the Athletics, who like. I mean, honestly, like I think my brother's trying out to play for the Oakland Athletics. Like he might be pitching for them next week. So. There might be a little bit of and they completely demolished the Athletics. So, but even then, I mean, their offense they still have like a plethora of good players. Josh Young, he's looking like not MVP, Rookie of the Year candidate. So, I think a lot of Braves fans are gonna think kind of same with the Orioles. Like they're gonna think that the Rangers are an easy team and. This is not
first
an easy place
team.
in the AL West right now, and we're nearing Memorial Day.
Their pitching is also, I guess I said I wanted Dane Dunning, but now I'm looking at his 31 innings, and now I am gonna take that back.
Most of that was in relief.
Will Smith has been good this year.
It's funny, isn't Mike Maddox their pitching coach in Arlington?
Yeah, I've always looked at Mike Maddox's pitching results during his career and gone, how is his brother Greg Maddux? And then I see like every time he goes to a new team as a pitching coach, they figure things out. Like, wasn't he the Cardinals pitching coach? And now now they're terrible.
Yeah.
there's something about Mike Maddox that he was never able to figure out on his own, but he's a great pitching coach.
And then we have the Mariners. That's going to be a fun series. First time the Mariners have played in Atlanta in forever. I honestly, I have no recollection the last time the Mariners played. I don't even think
I mean, I know they were supposed to
in 2020.
play each other, at least in 2020, and
Yeah.
they didn't.
And then 2017.
And the Braves played last year in Seattle.
Yeah, 2017. It's kind of funny. This is like the only year we can do all these like, oh man, the Mariners haven't played. The last year we can do like, oh man, the Mariners haven't played in Atlanta since 2015 because now it's gonna be like, oh yeah, here they come again. That's gonna be a fun series. Their offense has been absolutely just atrocious. Julio Rodriguez,
J-Rod, man, what's happened?
I mean, he's OPSing I think below 700, maybe 600. Jared Kelenic, he's probably been their only consistent hitter this year. I know Cal Raleigh.
I would not have bet money on that for sure. I'm happy for Kelnick.
I am too. I am. Yeah.
But yeah, he and Crawford look to be their only. Ty France is okay.
Anything that can be. I mean, I know obviously like Edwin Diaz eventually turned it around with the Mets and signed that contract, but like anything that can make the Brody Van Wagenen era of the Mets look even worse, like I'm a fan of.
I'm all for it. That was just a disastrous hire for the Mets, and I'm so happy when it doesn't go well for them. I don't hate the Mets either, for the record. Like I really don't hate the Mets. I'm not. When they make bad hires, I hate it. Yeah. And hiring an agent as your general manager, you're basically asking for failure.
The Dodgers is potentially the scariest. Like that could be the series where, depending on how Texas...
Do the Dodgers have... I feel like a dumb fan. Did the Dodgers have any pitching beyond Kershaw?
Dustin May. Julio Urias.
Oh, God.
Tony Gonsolin still... Yeah. I don't know how he's doing this year, but he's healthy. That's... Man, fuck the Dodgers. That's my second curse I'm using. Just screw them. I hate the Dodgers so much. Walker Buehler's out for the entire year because of Tommy John. And, like... They let go of Trey Turner. They let go of Justin Turner, and they're playing
Mookie Betts at shortstop.
And he's
sometimes.
and it's working. Like I mean, he had like an error the other day, but like he's been actually a solid shortstop.
I'm not surprised. If I remember correctly, when he was with the Red Sox, it wasn't that he couldn't play second base. It's because they had Dustin Pedroia when he came up.
Yeah, and obviously Xander Bogaerts is short. And then James out, like they let go of Cody Bellinger. He's just it's not working in LA anymore. And then now James Outman is looking like a Rookie of the Year candidate, possible MVP.
James Outman needs to change his name.
No, I love it. Cause
it goes against nominative determinism.
I love it. That's why I love it.
He needs to call it James Safeman.
I can totally see Brandon Gowden making a joke like, and that's out.
James Homer Man.
And also too, you could say, oh, that's out of the park. Like, oh, that's out, man. It has, I don't know. I think it's a double entendre to it.
I don't know. I feel like it's like Homer Bailey. It never felt like an appropriate name.
Yeah. That could be a potentially messy series. Just thinking about how, during the week, how the pitching is going to line up. It's going to be interesting. Freddie's return part 2, just because his return part 1 was maybe one of the more, I don't know if we talked about this, but like it was maybe one of the more notable homecomings ever. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't remember the last time an MLB player has like cried on the field while playing. Besides like Wilmer Flores, when he thought he got traded.
I don't think any player has been misguided by his agent as much.
Yeah.
As Freddie was. I'm trying to figure out who these pitchers are going to be. God, this is bad. I don't think we'll have Strider pitch in LA. Oh, no. I think we'll have Strider pitch for one of the games against LA.
Oh, not two. We're going to pitch him in back-to-back games.
If anyone could do it.
Honestly. No, I don't even want to think about how his arm feels afterwards. I mean, he takes really good care of himself. I mean, that's, you want the secret of how he's able to do what he's doing. I mean, that is a symbol of health. But while you're figuring that out, I'll just talk about the Phillies series. Phillies, I'm way more worried about them than I am of the Mets. That lineup is coming back together. Obviously, they lost Reese Hoskins for the year, but again, casual fans or just fans who just follow the Braves might be surprised to hear Bryce Harper is back. Originally, he wasn't slated to return until the All-Star break, and it's May 14th, and he's played in like 14 games so far this year, and he's looking like Bryce Harper, just with a cast on his arm. It's insane.
Yeah,
It's insane.
if there was anyone who was gonna break the record for coming back from Tommy John surgery, it was gonna be Bryce Harper. Like, I'm not shocked. I'm happy for Bryce.
He's
Oh my god, I didn't even look at his stats. He's already put up .5 WAR as a DH. Oh,
that series again. I'm way more. I mean, we took care of business versus the Mets, but I think Phillies, they just have a more complete roster, in my opinion. I know Aaron Nola. I want to say he's been struggling a bit along Wheeler. I know Rangers.
yeah, I think Aaron Nola. Their bullpen is once again in bad shape.
Yeah.
I think because Jose Alvarado is on the IL, and he was having like a great season. Like, this guy has always been able to strike out batters, but I think this season he finally figured out the walks.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's kind of weird to say he's basically been like a Spencer Strider, but for the bullpen, which is just like your run-of-the-mill closer. But I think they're having Craig Kimbrell close out games, so I don't. Yeah.
So
I'm not.
I need to do like a post or something, like how bad how bad is your bullpen, or like how like is the shape of your bullpen, and like towards the bottom, like when you're doing bad, it's like you have Craig Kimbrell closing games for you.
It's such a sad decline, because I've never not been a fan of Kimbrell, even as he's played for teams that I don't like.
Wasn't he one of the guys that like got like that signed after the draft?
Yeah, he and Keuchel both got played hard, I guess.
Yeah.
So Alvarado, thank God he's for the Braves' sake, I hope he gets better soon.
For his sake, but not for his
sake. In 14 innings this year, keep in mind, in 2021, this guy walked 7.6 batters per nine across 55 innings. Not a small sample size at all. In 14 innings this year, he was striking out 15.07 batters per nine. He has not allowed a single walk all season. And he had put up .7 WAR as a reliever in 14 innings.
Jesus Christ.
For the Braves' sake, I'm happy the Braves will likely miss him. He's having elbow issues, so that's not something you come back quickly from. That is a dominant season. Wow.
Yeah, Jesus. But anyway, yeah, so just to wrap things up here, Braves had a rough week, not only on the field, but also losing your number 1 and your number 3 pitchers. I think this is going to be the time where we're really tested, and I think we did build up enough of a cushion to, margin of error is high, but, this is just why you don't get too comfortable. This is why you, put your head, or I don't want to say put your head down, but, this is why you, try to beat out, infield grounders is, situations like these where, you're going to be without 2 of your best pitchers for 2 months of the season. So that's my thoughts. I'm not too worried about the team, but this is definitely, I would say, the most trying stretch we've had so far this year.
Yeah, if the Braves get through this stretch, a 13-game stretch, and they are 6-7, 7-6 in those 13 games, that's a success.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't predict, it'd be very bold of me to predict, any more than 8 wins. Um, did this is an aside, but did you see that tweet from SNY about like the Mets are about to go 13 straight games and face opponents who are all under 500. Project your their record in the next 13 games, and everyone was guessing like 13 and 0.
Oh my god.
12 and 1, 10 and 2, and they ended up losing like 8 of those games.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Getting swept by the Tigers,
so
and
anything could happen. Yeah. The Braves could shock us all and go on a 13-game winning streak. They're a good team. They could do that. They could also lose 13 straight games and have one of the biggest collapses. And
I'm gonna say they're gonna win 7, but I would not be mad if we come back and they only won 6.
Yeah. 5 is a disappointment. 4 is like
4 is red flags.
Maybe the Braves need to figure out this offense and pitching. I would also predict 7 wins. The Mariners are not that great. Now, as I say that, they're gonna lose the series to the Mariners and win every other series. Yeah. The Rangers are really good. The Dodgers are really good. The Phillies. It's a 4-game series. You should always expect a split. 7 wins. I'd be very satisfied with 7 wins. Anything over 7 wins. Anything over 2 games over 500.
I'm definitely going to be losing sleep during the Dodgers series, without a doubt. It's just a team we have history with at this point, and I mean it's really funny. So many people at the beginning of the season were like, oh, maybe this isn't the Dodgers' year. They got off to a rough start, and they put up 8 straight wins. I believe they swept the Phillies, and it's like I was saying the whole time, I was like, no, they're still the Dodgers. They know what they're doing. I mean, yeah, they cut payroll to get into the luxury tax, but they
reinvented Jason Hayward.
Yeah, reinvented Jason Hayward.
I'm a little upset. I'm happy with Hilliard, but I like Hayward was a guy I was wishing the Braves would take a flyer on.
Yeah,
just because he still hit the ball hard and he has good defense.
But
the Dodgers, like, I don't know what they told him. Finally got into Hayward's head, like, oh, dude, just hit home runs, and he's a good hitter again. So I wrote it out, and if the rotation stays as is, it's going to be Strider, whoever that 4th, 5th guy is, and then Elder. That is going to be a hard series to win, even with Strider, because you have a good offense against Elder and a AAA dude.
Yeah. I could see that being Elder's first blow up start of the season. But yeah, anyway, this was the May 15th episode of BravesKast. Please subscribe, check out our channels, No More Fielders and What Happened to Baseball. Check out Mitchell's writing on The House That Hank Built. Whenever I eat specifically a pimento sandwich, that's what I read, The House That Hank Built. And yeah, subscribe,
Yeah, you should actually just subscribe to my channel because I'm only 1,300 subs away from passing Cole.
Oh no, I'm so scared.
And wait, how many subs do you have?
It's approaching 5,100. Wait.
Oh, then I only have 900 to go.
Damn.
So sub to me first, and then
oh, now I'm actually scared.
If I pass Cole, then you can sub to Cole's channel. But I'm at 4,200 right now, and
that's
so
neck and neck. Grand scheme.
Yeah, my growth has been exponential the past couple of days. So yeah, subscribe to my channel, and then once I pass Cole, then you can sub to Cole's channel. And tell your friends about it. If you are not a Braves fan, we probably have some really idiot takes, me not knowing whether the Dodgers have pitching or not. If you want to make fun of a lot of Braves fans, this is the show for you. We are welcoming it. So that's a reason for you guys to sub.
We get enough people who watch this to hate it. I'll do an entire episode with the most ignorant sounding Southern accent, and I could do it too.
Oh, I can do a Southern accent too. I'm from North Carolina.
I'm hiding.
I'm from the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah,
so
I'm from the suburbs of Atlanta. I can do it.
You're a faker.
Yeah.
I am from the mountains. I am a.
They were like,
Sometimes I say words with I in it, and I go, did that
you're from
Does that sound like
you're from
what I think it sounded like?
Deliverance County. I mean, you're from the
I'm from Boone,
yeah.
North Carolina. So
the literal boonies.
Never know.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right.
yeah, no one's ever said
Anyway,
that in Boone though. But
Check
yeah,
it.
subscribe.
Enjoy your day too.
Bye.
Bye.